All right, fake Goodwin here, and eventually we will. So, typically online, when you complain about Hollywood race changing characters, somebody's going to call you a racist because, 9 times out of 10, you're going to be complaining about blackwashing because that's what happens the majority of the time. These white comic book characters get turned black, especially in today's social justice climate. Uh, and motives to race changing characters. It hasn't always been social justice. This stuff's gone on long before social justice, as you know. You can tell all the way back in the Batman movie, all the way back then when Harvey Dent was portrayed by a black guy. And, you know, even Batman Begins, they had Ra's al Ghul playing a Middle Eastern. They had Liam Neeson playing Ra's al Ghul, and Ra's al Ghul is Middle Eastern. Now, granted, sometimes their portrayal of these characters are pretty good, but still, it's the point. He shouldn't be playing him. They shouldn't race changed it. I'm fond of Liam Neeson and his acting skills, but he's no Ra's al Ghul, and he shouldn't have been playing Ra's al Ghul. Another thing is Bane. Tom Hardy portraying Bane, that was just downright god awful. There are no exceptions to this. Sometimes, a movie's still enjoyable even with the race change. I won't dispute that. Some of these people do a good job, but it's about staying true to the source material and respecting respecting what gave you the opportunity to make this live action into the real deal. And and today the intentional race changing today is usually social justice, and sometimes it's just a lazy cop out. Uh, uh, most of the time it is an actual racist decision to make these choices to race change the character. I mean, I can't say for sure what Christopher Nolan was thinking, but he race changed Bane and Ra's al Ghul. So it's not just like a complaint against blackwashing. It's a complaint against whitewashing. You know, it's a two-way street. It shouldn't be happening, but it happens. And you know, blackwashing happens more often than whitewashing when it comes to these comic book movies, and so I complain about that more often. And people typically jump to the conclusion that makes you racist. Whatever, man. Whatever. You can think of me, whatever you want. It doesn't matter to me. I would like to see these characters casted the way they should be. I don't want to see Tom Hardy giving me some Sean Connery voice that just induces a headache. I want to see that luchador Bane. And, I want to see the Middle Eastern Ra's al Ghul and Black Canary. I mean, come on. Valkyrie, as you can see, they do this all the time. And it really is a two-way street. The blackwashing, the whitewashing, it's either lazy or it's, an intentional racist decision to make. If you're being like, oh, we're all about diversity, that this cast isn't diverse enough, so we gotta spice it up. You're you're making a decision based on race, making a decision based on racism. You're, it's just, and you could say my argument seems racist itself. I don't know. I don't know that. I mean, that could be a good argument, but I personally get along with black people fine. I get along with Asian and Hispanics just fine. Granted, I'm not around many Asians. There's not many Asians here in Texas, at least not around me. But, I don't think the race change is cool at all. Either way, I have no bias in it where I think it's cool if characters whitewashed. It's not cool. It's not cool, and some people will defend those changes to the death because they are actually biased and in favor of their own race when it comes down to it. But me, I'm like, no, man, no. You know, I don't want to see a white Black Panther. I don't want to see a white Blade. You know, it's just, these decisions are stupid. Hollywood should be made to try better. Not just with, the right casting choices, not just cast, but with the costumes too, man. I mean, the costumes. Hollywood can do some god awful adaptations with costumes, completely ridiculous, and low income people that do cosplay can pull off better costumes. It's completely ridiculous. Race changing a character, it doesn't always like derail the whole movie or whatever, but it does make it not compare to what it could be. What it could be. And no comic book movie is ever going to be 100% accurate. Uh, there's too many stories, there's too many versions, but what the most important thing it really is, nailing that character's most iconic look down and their personality. That when it comes to these adaptations, that is the most important part. When you're adapting these iconic characters, to keep their personality and appearance intact so they're recognizable. So it's not just, oh, look, it's Liam Neeson. It's not Ray Huggle. It's just Liam Neeson. You don't want things like that where, actors are typecast because they always come off like the same person in every role. Certain actors come off like the same person in every role. A lot of times, these casting choices are based on popularity of certain actors. Certain actors, get roles just because they're already famous, and you know, it guarantees people in the seats. It should, when you're adapting some source material, and this gave you the opportunity to make a lot of money, you should respect that material and not abuse it. You should respect the fans that made this opportunity possible, that made that property popular in the first place. And I just wanted to go on, a little rant about this because there's always somebody saying, oh, it's racist to complain about blackwashing. It's not racist to complain about blackwashing or whitewashing as long as your point is valid. It's not racist unless you're throwing around a bunch of racial slurs and being completely ridiculous. It's, you know, these characters should be adapted as they were on the pages that they stem from. These characters need to look, feel, and act like they were in the book. Don't just radically change characters because you have some kind of agenda or because you're lazy. It's ridiculous. It happens all the time and it's ridiculous. It isn't going to stop me from seeing comic book movies, but it's going to make me appreciate them a lot less than I would. For instance, the Christopher Nolan trilogy, I only like the Dark Knight one because, well, the Batman Begins one isn't too bad, but the Dark Knight one is the best, and the third entry I just thought was god awful, storytelling wise, and the portrayal of Bane. Anyways, that's the video, guys. If you want to like, subscribe, share, check out my anti-social justice subscribe star if you're interested. Stay awesome. Rock on.